Yeah, and welcome once again to how to mix major and minor pentatonic. I swear to you, this is the most fun thing you're ever gonna learn as a guitar soloist because the opportunities of what you can do with it are literally endless. Every time I'm bored, I'll put on a jam track and I'll be like, okay, how can I use this? And it's like instant new lick creation, right? So this is all part of the mixing major and minor course that is down below at a massive discount right now. It goes over how to fuse the scales, how to see the chord tones inside the scales, so you actually learn how to create licks with a melody in mind, right? You gotta know how to play over actual music to create music. So we're gonna teach you the skills of how to mix major and minor pentatonic, but with chords in mind, right? So you're gonna be able to actually play, improvise, create, all that stuff. But in the first lesson, I showed you how to start down this road, and it's super simple. You just add 1 to 2 notes, and you don't even have to mix the scales together yet, right? So I showed you if you just add the major third into the minor pentatonic box, it already starts to sound super cool. Add 1 more note, the flat 5, and it's already off to the races. But once you fuse the major pentatonic inside of that, as well as those other 2 options, then it's like literally endless. The cool thing is, if you're anything like me and can't shred, 2 note per string runs really fast, a la Bonamassa, Eric Johnson, Eric Gales, all these guys. What is it with the Erics? They're all freaking awesome. But if you can't play fast 2 notes per string, this is gonna be your fix-it ticket into getting your speed up because you're gonna have so many notes to choose from. But we're gonna do it creatively. Okay, so lesson 1, we just added the major third into minor pentatonic. Then we also added the flat 5, which gave us right, so you got a ton of different options. If we play that to a track's included in the course, by the way. All right, so there's all that kind of stuff that you can do down here too. So we're just adding 2 notes, right? We're adding, right, flat 5, major third, flat 5, major third, flat 5, major third, right? All we did, we got all those different examples of licks that we can create from that point. So now if you add shape 2 inside of minor box 1, then it's like, there's so many different things you can do. It's crazy, right? Great thing is you can get a lot of those Southern rock. All that cool kind of stuff in there as well. So you got to think of it like if you're using minor box 1, major box 2 will be inside of that. If you're in minor box 2, major box 3 will be inside of that, okay? So it's just 1 scale pattern up from, if you're thinking like minor box is home base, 1 scale pattern up from that, fuse them together, and you have the mixing major and minor in one spot. So there's a boatload of notes now, right? So you got, right? It's like you almost get every single note you'd ever want, right? And if you throw chromatic runs in there, literally every note is there. But the cool thing is when you are able to see the patterns and how they all work together, the knowing where the major one is, it allows you to create that cool kind of majory sounding stuff. Again, I keep going back to Two Solos Badge and Shook Me All Night Long, because those are like textbook examples of how to do this and how you can stay in a spot that you would normally just play minor in and really infuse some cool major kind of overtones in there, right? To really kind of give yourself a lot more different musical options in one spot, right? And then if you get that in one spot and you're able to do it in another spot and in another, literally the road is completely open to what you can create. Okay, so if we just played major pentatonic inside box 1, and I'm just gonna stick to like notes like that kind of stuff over the track, let's see. Now, if I start to add some minor notes in there, like, watch what we can do, right? Same kind of feel. Right? Okay, so that's just one spot, and I'm just choosing, do I want it to start off sounding major and going into minor, or do I want a minor flare with a little, major in there? So it's really becomes, which direction do you want to go? Over a track like this, I have a couple different jam tracks in the course, and I've designed them specifically so they work really well playing either in minor or major. But really great when you fuse the two together, but you still can choose, do I want to have more major phrasing and throw the minor toughness in there, or do I want to start off aggressive and then add some really cool melodies on top of that? So it works both ways, and I show you how to do all of that stuff. So anyways, to keep in mind when you're doing this, slow down again, do the same thing we did in lesson 1, look at where our A chord is. And just start there and then start adding another note. Right, to the track. So check it out. Here we go. Maybe add another note from the minor. Go back to our A chord. Okay, now that would be adding major notes inside of the minor box. You can also add the minor notes inside major. So if I'm in position 1 of major, and I'm gonna show you how to resolve in major pentatonic. I think that's one of the big stumbling blocks when playing pentatonic scales. Once we move from minor to major, people get lost. And it's really as simple as, again, keeping the most important thing in mind, and that's where the chord tones of the scale are. So a lot of times in minor, right, that's where our chord is. But in major pentatonic, all of our, resolution notes are in a different spot. So I think people try to use their minor licks, but it doesn't work because it's not resolving in the same way. But with a simple twist, you can use the basic frameworks of a lot of your licks. You just gotta stop in a different place. And it's really easy. Just takes a little bit of messing with, and pretty soon you'll have it down, right? So if I go from a major box, and if you're trying to find major pentatonic, right, take shape 1 of minor, right? We know this is A minor. Just move that down 3 frets. Okay, now the trick is if you play it like this, it sounds like F sharp minor pentatonic. If you start from this note, the A, listen to the difference. Right? See the difference? It's all of that starting point and where you resolve to. Now it sounds like a major pentatonic. But point being, you can take these minor notes, right? All the minor notes, think about the A minor chord. You can start bending and getting a super tough sound that way, right? Now, all that stuff works amazing for rhythm playing as well, right? So this mixing major and minor pentatonic, although it's designed for soloing, you can immediately apply this stuff to your rhythmic playing as well, because like a lot of the 1-4-5s we play, they're already kind of starting to do that, right? If you start infusing some of the minor pentatonic notes inside there, you get all these killer, like when you hear that. You can do all that. All this stuff starts to make your rhythm playing sound super cool too. So this isn't a technique that just works strictly for soloing. It's absolutely phenomenal when you start to apply it to rhythm as well. And let's face it, we're gonna play rhythm way more than we're gonna play lead playing. So just take what you've learned and just apply it to your rhythm playing, and it'll make your rhythm playing super exciting as well. Okay, so again, fusing the two. If we're gonna stick with minor box 1, we're gonna put major box 2 inside of it. So minor box 1, major box 2 inside of it. But the most important thing, concentrate on this chord. Add those other cool notes like the flat 5 to that phrasing. Now remember, you can just do straight up triad. So if all this sounds like, oh God, I'm confused, just add the A major triad in there and it'll start to automatically help, right? So check this out. Right, I'm just adding the triad. There's the full triad. Or you can. Now, obviously, you want to do that quicker. So, right, so back to the triad. So then just do that same thing inside of the major pentatonic and try to add those minor notes as well. And then suddenly you're kind of off to the races. The next thing that we're going to go over in the next lesson is how to add some other chords inside of those. So you're not only seeing, adding the major third and the flat five, not only adding the A major chord inside of the scale, not only adding both major and minor pentatonic inside the scale, but now you're going to target other chord tones in there so you can create melodies, right? So that's where all the rubber meets the road. It's where you get all your traction, is once you can see chords inside of these fusion of the two scales, then you're making music, and that's where it's all about. And that's what the course specifically goes over, is how to build a vocabulary, get tons of licks under your belt that actually work over chord progressions. And so no matter what the chord progression, you'll get the idea of how to do it when the chord progression changes. As long as you know basically what key you're in, you're going to be able to use these concepts to play over anything, okay? And so that's what we're trying to do, and that's what all my lessons focus on. Doesn't get all crazy with modes and all that other stuff, although I will show you some other stuff here in the future of how to get a modal sound out of mixing major and minor pentatonic, which this track is amazing for. You can get all these killer modal sounding licks, but you're not doing it. One of the things with modes, and then I think that people default to, is as soon as you learn a new scale pattern, you default to the shape of the pattern, right? So like if we're doing, say I wanted to add like Mixolydian or, works really cool, but if I think about it, in more of a two-note pentatonic context, right? It's endless, right? This just goes on and on forever. We can keep doing this forever. Lots of that stuff is in the course as well, so I show you how to do that down below. But it's another way that you can make your modal playing sound super different and start to develop your own creative voice on the guitar. Because let's face it, all of our heroes have an identifiable sound, and that's what we're trying to do for you too. Thank you so much for your continued support. We'll see you in the next lesson.